Hi, my name's Jesse Marco, and I'm currently an independent consultant here at Dual Language New Mexico in attendance, and have the privilege to talk with David Nieto. I came to Dual Language to support David Rogers and his initiative. Thrilled to have 3,000 people here for the first time. Been working with him for many years through WIDA and also through the National Council of State Title III directors, where I had the Standards and Assessment Committee. And David, would you like to speak a little bit about your involvement and experience with dual language and how you came to be here?
Yeah, I'm David Nieto. I'm the Executive Director of the Bueno Center for Multicultural Education. I'm also an assistant research professor at the School of Education in the University of Colorado Boulder, and where the Bueno Center is an integral part of the school. The Bueno Center was founded in 1976 and by one of the pioneers in bilingual special education, Dr. Leonard Baca, and since then has been promoting the development of bilingual education at all levels. I came to the center in 2016 after Dr. Baca retired, and prior to that I was working at the Illinois State Board of Education as State Director of Bilingual Programs and Migrant Education. La Cosecha in 2014 was my first Cosecha, the first conference that I attended in La Cosecha, and was a transforming event for me. That's when I realized actually the dimensions that dual language education and a positive outlook of bilingual education was taken throughout the nation. I've always been surprised that bilingual education has always been regarded as a remedial program and has been involved with many deficit thinking orientations. However, Dual Language New Mexico, La Cosecha, is contributing to transform that vision in bilingual education to what it really is, an enrichment program, a program that benefits students no matter what first language they speak. And again, for me, it was an eye-opening experience to meet with teachers from all over the nation and actually from abroad, and sharing their experiences in their programs, sharing their strategies, what's transformed their schools, and actually contributing to generate awareness, critical awareness about our position within the educational system, the larger educational system in the United States. So it's always a privilege for me to be here.
Wonderful. And you just finished speaking at St. Francis Auditorium and did a fine job and had a good crowd. And I'm wondering if there were any particular takeaways from that presentation and your interaction with the audience that you want to share.
Yeah, it was a fabulous experience, first of all, because it was my first time presenting at the New Mexico Museum of Art. It's a fabulous location. It's a privilege, actually, to have a session in that particular location. And my session was about the perceptions and ideologies of bilingual teachers, Spanish-English bilingual teachers, about teaching in Spanish. Basically, it's a study that I've been conducting in Illinois, in the Chicagoland area, with 25 teachers that are K through 3 bilingual teachers, again in a Spanish-English program. And it's basically how they feel that Spanish is regarded within the school context, and about their own perception about how fluent or how secure they feel in teaching content in Spanish. The big takeaways from me are that my findings have been corroborated by the people attending the session. We've talked a lot about how teachers need to be better supported by their schools, their districts, their states, in terms of how Spanish is not only used in the classroom but also outside of the classroom. How it's important for programs that are bilingual or dual language programs whose ultimate goal is to develop biliteracy in 2 languages, how important it is that the presence of both languages throughout the structures of the school. That's to say, it's not only important that we teach whatever content in Spanish, but that Spanish is present too in staff meetings, in presentations for the whole school, in presentations for the school board, in presentations for the districts in general.
So using it as scaffolding to understand the content, much as you would in learning English.
Sure, that's a critical aspect. The same rigor that is necessary to teach science in English is necessary to teach math in Spanish. We need to be as rigorous in one area as in the other, in one language as in the other. But that doesn't mean to be elitist or perceiving that there's only one way to speak Spanish.
Right, we had talked about that after your talk, that I've worked in large-scale statewide assessment development. And there's a discussion if the assessment is in Spanish. I've encountered in several cases the discussion about what Spanish, what does this Spanish look like? Where when I'm developing a test in English, that question never comes up. What does the English look like? That should be the language of the test that the students see.
That is absolutely right. Yeah, and that's a misconstruction actually, and problematizes the use of Spanish. We are lucky, both in Spanish and English, that actually we are able to speak and understand people across the world in so many different nations with small variations in vocabulary and structure. And it's fundamental to be proud of all forms of Spanish. There's not one particular kind of Spanish that is superior to any other, right? We are defining the context of academic Spanish and academic English within the schools, right? And this is what matters, how to be strategic about moving our students, regardless of their capital, their linguistic capital, how we are moving our students to acquire academic Spanish. And that's what's essential.
Does it fit within the purview of functional linguistics in that they're developing Spanish capabilities to be able to achieve in the content area?
That's right, yes. They can use a systemic functional linguistic approach, for example, as some schools do, but some others uses other type of frameworks, and that's totally fine, as long as, again, we perceive language, the importance of language within the context of our schools.
And you found a lot of support for that here at La Cosecha.
I always find a lot of support in terms of using language, finding resources that I can take back to the university, to the Bueno Center, and making a lot of connections with people that are committed to developing bilingual education in the country, and supporting our students that are typically marginalized.
Yeah, one of the most productive kinds of conversations I think I've had here is to speak with the exhibitors and the producers of the resources to help them understand the approach and what's needed to support classroom teachers, as you've described their needs.
That is a fantastic idea. Yes.
Yeah, all right. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much, Jesse. I appreciate it.
Pleasure talking with you, Debbie.
Same here.